Hello, Novella here, your English coach. And today, as usual, we're going to have another lesson. This, however, is a bit different. It's not a standard lesson on grammar or vocabulary. I received quite a few emails with questions regarding the different European levels of assessing language skills. So I decided to make a video just to speak about them and to make them clear once and for all. Before we start, of course, I will be doing this video in English, but then so that you can practice a bit more. But then if you prefer, on my website www.novellabenedetti.it, you will find the Italian version of all the information that I will provide you with shortly. Of course, once you are on my website, don't forget to sign up to Resfab, my monthly newsletter. Every first Monday of the month, I send information as to English, tips to learn, ideas on new elements regarding the English language in songs, and yes, of course, all the information about courses and so on. It's completely for free, so if you want to, feel free to subscribe. Having said this, let's start with the levels, English levels in the European language framework. So what do you need to know, first of all, is that there are the European Union, they, in thinking about this framework of reference, they divided it into three big areas, and then they have other sub areas, okay? So basically, the three levels that the European Union distinguishes are A, B, and C, okay, like the alphabet, where A is the basic, B is the intermediate, and C is the proficiency level. So if you're starting, you will be started from levels A1 to then move on to A2, to then moving onwards as your English skills improve, you move up to B1 and then B2 and then C1 and then C2. Normally, you know that in English you have really tons of different kind of certification and exams you can make. You have Cambridge exams, they are among the most well-known ones. Cambridge exams, basically you try out for one level, let's say you try out for B1, and then after the exam, which comprises of different parts, you get the response whether you failed or you passed. Then there are other English tests like IELTS certification, where you just go, you take your test and they assess your skills. So if you go there and you prepare for a B2 or a B1, whatever, and you do not pass, it is okay, because they will say, okay, you're a B1, you're B2, A2, sorry, or whatever. So what you need to know, however, before deciding which kind of certification you wish to have is also knowing what do they refer you and most of all, what do they expect you to be able to do with your language skills. So for example, when you think about A1 level is the basic, really the beginners. And English people are really nice, because A2, which is still the basic, they call it pre-intermediate, so that they give you the satisfaction of moving upwards already. Pre-intermediate, then B1 is the intermediate, B2 is the upper intermediate, and then you have C1, C2, which are the proficiency level. So most certification, they start from A2 really, because A1 is super extra basic. A1 is like, hi, my name is, how are you? So mostly certificates, but the exams, they move on from A2 level. In A2 level, you are expected to be able to express yourself on very simple elements. You are expected to be able to, yes, to speak, but of course using short sentences, very basic vocabulary, speaking only about your basic needs. So, I don't know, asking for directions, telling how you're doing, all those kind of things are in A2 level. And of course, you use in A2 level, you speak about as I said, your basic needs, so some elements of your daily routine, for example. So if you think about grammar, that means of course the present tense or the present continuous, simple past, yes, but yes, they don't expect you with a high level of complexity. B1 is intermediate. In B1 level, you are expected to be able to speak about your daily routine, about your daily life, your dreams. Of course, grammar-wise, when you start using more tenses, you can speak, as I said, about planning, about holidays, about, I don't know, what was last film you saw, and these kind of things. B2 level, which is still intermediate, but it's upper intermediate, and I have the impression that in English as a language is fairly okay to get to the B1 level. I have the impression that jumping from B1 upwards is more complicated, because yes, B2 is an intermediate level, as I said, but it's an upper intermediate. So they expect you to start being able not only to speak about concrete things, but also in abstract terms. So not only about like, yes, I go to school every day, but school education in Italy is blah, blah, blah. So you start thinking in higher terms. You need to have much more grammar structure and of course a wider vocabulary. Okay. With these, the standard questions in the B2 levels are, tell me the advantages or disadvantages of whatever. Advantages and disadvantages are classic in the B2 level. So if you are able to do, I don't know, advantages and disadvantages of electric cars, if you're able to speak about this topic in a fluent way, accurate, then you should be okay, basically. Then you have the proficiency level, C1, C2. C1, C2, many people mix them up and think it's the same, especially C2, as being native speaker. And say, okay, native speaker are C2 because it's the highest level. Yes and no. The point is that C2 level includes the ability of speaking about everything, of understanding pretty much everything, being able to move between one more formal register, more informal, and of course you speak in abstract terms. So a standard exam when it comes to the C1 and C2 level is to provide a description of a statistics, for example, or of a graph explaining it. Because of that level of complexity, native speakers, not all native speakers have that level. It really goes down to the cultural level of the native speaker, okay? How much they read, for example. So not every native speaker is naturally a C2 level of his or her own language or their own language, whatever. So yes, in C1 and especially C2 levels, yes, what they expect you, it's quite hard. So it will require quite a fair bit of hours of study, to be honest. Read a lot, listen a lot, being able to understand also the English accent of different kind of English speakers, and so on. And yeah, so that's it really. So we had an overview of what the three level of English, or well, whatever language really. I mean, I work a lot with English when it comes to teaching, but of course they created this kind of framework for all languages. So it's the same in Spanish, in German, in Italian, in whatever language you wish to learn. That's it. I wish you a lovely afternoon or day, whatever. Of course, remember to subscribe to my monthly newsletter, Resfeb, and that on my blog you can find the Italian version of this, I don't know if it's a lesson, but yes, of all the information that I mentioned to you about the different English levels. So, hope this video was useful for you. Feel free to forward it to whoever you think might find it interesting. And of course, if you were watching this video from my blog and not from YouTube, thank you very much for choosing me and for being here. Okay, whatever question, just ask, and goodbye.